A professional rugby union team that set off for an away match on 23rd of February have still not made it home. Manuma Samoa left their Pacific island for an away match in Perth, Australia, more than 100 days ago. But on their way home they were forced to quarantine in New Zealand, and were then stuck when their home country closed its borders entirely. In Auckland, the squad lived in a church compound for 3 months, with 20 players sharing one room. Although they are now back in Samoa, they are halfway through a 2-week quarantine, and players still haven't seen their families. When we arrived in New Zealand it was summer, the team's video analyst Hari Junior Narayan tells the BBC. When we left it was winter. Manuma Samoa's first game of the global rapid rugby season was on 14th of March, so the team left Samoa on 23rd of February. They had a 2-week training camp in Auckland, played the game in Perth, then planned to fly home via Auckland, in time to prepare for a home match in Apia on 21st of March. But while the team were playing in Perth, the Samoan government made an announcement. From 8 o'clock on 15th of March, the government said, anyone traveling to Samoa from one of 33 countries must spend 2 weeks in self-quarantine before setting off. Australia was country 33 on the list. The squad were allowed to enter New Zealand, and the Auckland compound where they held their pre-match training camp was still available. But that's where their good luck ended. On 24th of March, the Samoan government announced that, from 26 March, all international travel to and from Samoa by plane is ceased. The team's quarantine did not end until 30 March. At the compound, 20 players stayed in single beds and one large room, while the management stayed in smaller rooms. We had no privacy or anything like that, says Theodore McFarland, who stands 6 feet 6 inches tall. There were a few guys snoring. But despite the snoring, he says, spirits stayed high. The squad played bingo most evenings, with stakes of 50 cents or $1, cooked outside in Samoan amus, stone ovens, and kept fit. They turned their living room into a gym, and, thanks to a quirk in the rules, were allowed to train outside, even after New Zealand went into level 4 lockdown on 25th of March. After lockdown, the police came to break up our game of touch rugby, says video analyst Narayan. It wasn't a great look from the outside, but we were within our bubble. New Zealand's level 4 rules said exercise had to be solitary, or with those you live with. The officers, standing outside the locked gates, let the housemates play on. Despite living cheek by jowl, Narayan insists there were no arguments between the players. Probably the biggest disagreement was at bingo, he says, laughing. Money was involved so no one wanted to lose. And, in what may be surprising news to British rugby players, the squad stayed off the beer, despite being locked down for so long. We're not allowed drinks, or any of that, says McFarland. It's part of our rugby culture, especially as we were staying in a church compound. After New Zealand's lockdown eased in late April, a handful of the squad who lived locally were allowed to leave, but the Samoan-based players remained stuck. The bingo and the amus continued, yet the day-to-day monotony wasn't easy on the squad's mental health. We were in a compound, you see the same people every day, says team manager to All About Leda. I imagine this is what a prisoner feels like. To make this worse, glimmers of hope would arrive, only to be snuffed out. The authorities, kept pushing it back, says Leda. At the start, they said maybe April, for a flight home. Then they pushed it back to 19th of May, then 22nd of May, then to 29th of May. Finally, a week ago, the players were able to leave their Papototo compound. But the waiting wasn't over. Samoa is one of the few countries without a virus case, and they are not taking chances. So, after the players landed on home soil, they were put in quarantine for 2 weeks.